Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually a highly requested video. I think in every one of my Get Ready With Me's, I have mentioned that I have tattooed my own eyebrows. And I have, and that really generated a lot of comments in the comment section. A lot of people were asking if I had a video on that, or if I did not, would I consider making a video on it? And at first I really hesitated because quite honestly, I do not want to be responsible for somebody tattooing their own face. You know, even though it's something that I did, you know, I'm not a professional. I've never been trained. Quite honestly, I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I must be doing something right because I have eyebrows tattooed permanently on my face. So in this video, I'm just going to kind of show you the tools that I use. I'm going to tell you what to expect, what to be aware of, kind of the aftercare, you know, after you've done something like this. I'm going to also put a lot of timestamps in there because towards the end of the video, of this video, is going to be video clips of me like actually tattooing my eyebrows, you know, not the entire process, but parts of it. And then little clips of the healing process. And I think the last video is just going to be of me showing you the difference between like where my eyebrow hairs are and where the tattoo is in like natural sunlight, so you can see what that looks like. So once again, I do want to say, I have to throw this disclaimer out there. I'm not a professional. This is not a tutorial. I've never been trained. If this is something that you decide to do because you want to take matters into your own hands like I did, then that is on you. It's not on me. But anyways, okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so first of all, the reason that I decided to tattoo my own eyebrows is because I was an overplucker in the 90s, and I plucked so much that they eventually just stopped growing back. Then the aging process took over and I lost a little bit more hair than that. And then later on in life, I was lucky enough to develop Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So then my thyroid issue made matters even worse. So it got to the point where they were just super thin, and my eyebrows are naturally really dark. They're black. And so whenever I would lose a couple here and there, it would leave like a bald spot, and I just didn't like the way that that looked. It just made me feel so insecure. So originally I was going to leave it up to the professionals, but I got online and I started to read just horror story after horror story after horror story about all these women who were just so unhappy with their results. Either their eyebrows were too high, they were too close, they were the wrong color, they were the wrong shape, they were too flat or too arched, you know, you name it. Somebody had a reason why they were so upset, and they wished that they had never gotten permanent eyebrows. So I started thinking about it, and I was thinking, you know, I've had bad haircuts before, I've had bad hair coloring jobs, and I've come to realize that when somebody else makes the mistake that I have to live with, I hold a lot more resentment and I hold grudges and stuff like this. But when I'm the one that makes the mistake, then I'm a little bit more forgiving of myself. Since this is something that's permanent and I feel like I know what I like best, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to look online, I'm going to purchase some tools, and I'm just going to try it out myself. So everything that I've done has been through trial and error. The first time that I did this was probably about four or 5 years ago. And I've done it probably at least 4 times since then. I just decided that the first time that I was going to do it, I was only going to reinforce what I already had. I was not going to try to make them any thicker or anything like that. I just wanted to fill in the spots that were more sheer than others, and I was just going to see what that looked like. So that's what I started out with. I have done things so modestly. It's not even funny. I just, you know, each time that I've done it, because like I said, I've done it at least 4 times, I've literally gone like 1 line thicker. And I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions right now because I know that these questions are going to be asked. I know that somebody's going to ask, you know, why I did not go thicker. And the reason is because I have been around for a long time. I'm 44 years old. I have seen trends come and go. I've seen hair trends, clothing trends, lip liner trends, you know, makeup trends. Everything comes and goes. Right now, the eyebrows, these larger than life eyebrows, those are going to be a thing of the past in like less than a year. And because I know that, I just want to stay really modest. I'm not trying to recreate any shape. I want to stick with my natural shape. However, one time I did go a little bit higher on this eyebrow, and I actually regret it. You know, this one has always been more arched, and this one's been more straight, and I actually kind of like that. I love when I see it on other people. I was trying to even them out, but I feel like whenever you put any type of tattoo color or ink above your eyebrows, it's a lot more obvious than when it's beneath. I don't know why. I guess the natural hair has cast a shadow or something like that. But I can always see my tattoo on this eyebrow right up above at the arch because, like I said, this one's always been more arched and I was trying to even them out, and I wish that I wouldn't have now. But anyway, and I can't undo it, you know, so I'm just kind of stuck with that. But it's okay, it's not too bad. It's always best to go really, really modest, start out really, really slow, and then see how things go. Another thing that I think somebody's probably going to comment on is, you know, I should have gone lighter. The problem is that my natural eyebrows are jet black. I have gone lighter in the past. As a matter of fact, the first 2 times that I ever did it, I was using a brown that had a lot of reddish undertones. And I didn't like the way that it looked. Especially when I was outside, you can see clearly where my jet black eyebrow hairs were and where the tattoo color was. I feel like now I've gone quite a bit darker this very last time, and also because I've done it several times, the color just intensifies each time, you know. But I'm actually happier now. At first I was thinking, oh my gosh, I think I went a little bit too dark, but everything really, really lightens up. Like whatever you see right away, it's probably going to lighten about 40%. So keep that in mind, because that's something that's going to give you peace of mind, promise you. And you'll see in my video takes, you know, how it just kind of lightens and lightens and lightens. But so that's why I did not go lighter. That's why I went darker. That's why I went with a color which I feel most closely matches my natural color eyebrow. Okay, so now I just want to talk to you about a few things that I think that you should definitely know, and that you should definitely, certain rules that you should definitely follow if this is something that you're even considering, you know, doing. The first thing is that the absolute #1 most important thing when you are permanently tattooing your face is sterilization. I cannot say it enough. Sterilize, sterilize, sterilize everything. Anything that your hands are going to be touching, if you're going to be holding a little magnifying mirror like I do, sterilize your entire magnifying mirror. If you're going to be in a bathroom, sterilize all the counters, the mirror, anything that you would possibly touch, anything that your tools might possibly touch. I sterilize everything with rubbing alcohol. I even sterilize my hands with rubbing alcohol. I even sterilize my eyebrows with rubbing alcohol. There's too much room for infection when you are sticking a needle in and out of your skin, and the last thing you want to do is develop any type of infection. I remember one time I was reading this article where this woman, she went and got her eyebrows done professionally. This is another reason why it just scared me to death. She went and got it done professionally. Well, the woman that was doing her permanent eyebrows, her ink was a little bit dried out, so she decided to add some drops of water to it to water it down. And there was actually some bacteria in the tap water, and so 2 of her clients ended up in the hospital with like a flesh-eating bacteria on their eyebrow area. And that's a professional, so you need to keep that in mind. So you don't want to be using any type of water. If you are going to be using water to clean the area as you're going along, because you're definitely going to need to clean as you go along, if you're going to use water, you need to use distilled, the most purified of pure water that you could possibly find. I actually use witch hazel with a little bit of alcohol. Some places that I've looked at online, they've said you shouldn't use alcohol. I've used it every single time because to me that is the strongest thing that's going to help with any type of infection. I just don't want to take any chances. So sterilization, there's nothing more important than sterilization. The next thing is that you should not tweeze your eyebrows at least 2 days prior to doing any type of permanent makeup. Apparently, you know, if ink gets in those holes, then you've got these permanent, you know, little dots, and you probably don't want to do that. So don't tweeze at least 2 days before. Another thing that I think is really important is that you should really try to stay away from colors that have the word black in it at all, because black colors tend to change on some people. I've seen people end up with green eyebrows or blue, shades of blue, shades of gray and stuff like that. So you want to go with either a really, really dark brown. I wouldn't even use, there's one color that I bought one time that was called brown black, and I did a little section. I actually did the top part right up here, and I feel like it looks gray in certain light. I'm just, you know, just warning you that black colors will change, and sometimes when they change like that, you're almost married to them. There are ways to try to cancel out that color with other colors, you know, opposite the color wheel and stuff like that, and that's a possibility, but you don't want to have to go that route. So anyways, I would stay away from colors with the word black in it. Now, as far as the aftercare, First thing you need to know is that your eyebrows are going to look freakishly dark right away. And they're probably gonna have like red edges because you've just traumatized the skin. But just know that that color literally fades about 40%. But it's a little scary at first, and you're gonna start scouring the internet going, oh my gosh, is this gonna fade? Now you're stuck with that color for at least 3 or 4 days, because that's how long it takes for the scab and everything to fall off. And it actually takes a little bit longer because you want to keep it moist the whole time. You don't want the scab to fall off prematurely and pull some of that ink out. So the whole time you're wanting to keep it moist. Now, this is something that you need to research on your own. Whenever you are trying to keep it moist, there was a time where they would say put Vaseline on it or Aquaphor or something of that nature. Now they are kind of warning against that because they're saying that the wound, because that's exactly what it is, it's just like an open wound, that it needs oxygen in order to breathe and heal properly, and that Vaseline or Aquaphor or something like that just really doesn't allow any air to get in, which can also be a breeding ground for infection. So the only time that you really want to use any type of Vaseline or something like that is if you're going to take a shower and you don't want the water to be hitting it. But I would suggest not even thinking about washing your hair for at least 3 days. I would not even chance it, especially, you know, there could be any type of bacteria in the tap water. I would not even chance it. I will shower from the neck down, or I will take a bath, but I just don't like to chance it at all. So I don't wash my hair for 3 days or 4 days or however long it takes for that scab and stuff to fall off. Typically, the way that I keep it moist is I just keep it moist with coconut oil, and then after the scab kind of falls off, I will use some Neosporin just to clean it up and stuff, or even some days I'll put a little bit of Neosporin in there just to make sure it's clean, and then wipe it off later and then put some coconut oil. But it seems like the aftercare, when you go to every website, it seems like their aftercare is so different. So you might want to do some research on aftercare and see what other places suggest. Like I said, they all seem to suggest something different. And then the last little piece of advice is basically don't scrape off any of your scabs. I know you're gonna be so tempted to, but definitely don't scrape it off when it's dry and just try to pull or yank at it. Now, what I've done, and you're gonna see in this video, is that when I can see that the scab is trying to fall off, I don't want it to get snagged. I don't know really what it'll be snagged on, but maybe my own fingernail, because I'll be like touching it. But so sometimes I will just take some purified water and I will dip a little Q-tip in it, and then I'll just moisten it, and usually that scab will just kind of slide right off. So, and I'm going to show you that because I do have little clips of that happening. So, okay, so let's talk about the tools. Now, this part is really frustrating because I have done this at least 4 times, and 2 out of the 4 times I received my tool missing something necessary to use it. Fortunately, I had other tools that I had purchased previously that for whatever reason, their parts fit these because they are not universal. They do not all look alike. Let me show you what one looks like. This is what a tattoo pen looks like, and that's how you turn it on. And it comes with some needles, and they are all individually packaged and they're sterilized. Now, some of them, this is a 1R, so it has 1 prong. Some of them have 2 prongs, 3 prongs, 4 prongs, 5 prongs. This is a 1 prong, and I think it's actually meant for eyeliner. However, that is what I use to do my eyebrows because, you know, I just don't want to get overly confident with a 4 prong and then I look crazy. So like I said, I do things really modestly. Then it comes with these plastic little applicators, and they look like this, and it just goes right on top of the pen like this, and it just holds the needle in place. And that's how you use it. And you turn it on, you put the needle in. I'm not going to take a needle out right now because I don't want to waste one. And then it comes with a cord like this, and you just plug it into the back of your pen like that. And then this has to be plugged into an adapter. Here's the adapter right here. This adapter was missing from one of my purchases one time. I could not believe it. I'm like, how am I supposed to plug this into the wall? Fortunately, I had purchased one before. They all require an adapter. I think so. And so I was able, yeah, they do. And so I was able to use that adapter. But had it been the first one I purchased, then I wouldn't have that adapter. So that can be really frustrating. Unfortunately, I can't really offer any links to a pen that's a total reliable source. I feel like I've never been able to repurchase a pen that I've purchased once in the past. I don't know if they just closed down business or what happens, but I've had to order a new pen every time I've done this because I don't want to use the same one over. I don't know why, but I'm glad that I did, because otherwise I would be in trouble. Now, let me tell you this. This right here was the last pen that I purchased, and you're going to see in the video, I get about a quarter way through. I got right about to here, and the pen just stopped working on me. What would I have done had I not had a backup? Now, fortunately, parts of this one fit on this one, but that's not true for all of these tattoo pens. They don't have universal parts, so that can be really, really frustrating. Again, like I said, I apologize. I wish there were some links that I could give you so that you would know that whichever pen you ordered, it would come with all the parts and everything else. Not only have 2 of the 4 pens that I've ordered come missing some parts, they also come with no instructions whatsoever. They don't tell you how to put the needle in, what to put on next, or anything like that. I'm assuming because after I started using this, it stopped working, so I switched over to this one. Thank God this piece fit. But I went ahead and kept this one plugged in, and then later it turned on and started working. So I don't know if maybe it needed to charge or something. Like I said, there's no instructions, and there's no way of finding that information out. So it's just kind of a crapshoot, what you get. So I would suggest maybe trying to order the same exact pen from different sites just in case something's missing. They're only about 30 bucks a piece, which is pretty reasonable. I think one of these was like 20 bucks at $22 or something like this. I think it was this one. So the next thing that you're going to need obviously is some ink, and I like to order from this company called Custom Cosmetic Colors. This is the color that I used right here, darkest brown, and I mixed it with medium ash just to cancel out any colors that I didn't want. One time I got some reddish undertones that I wasn't crazy about. Now I do have another color that's called just dark brown, and I really like that color. However, it does have a little bit of those reddish undertones that I wasn't crazy about, so I went with this one. So and I liked the color that I wound up with. However, in certain lights I feel like I could see a teeny weeny bit of gray, but you have to be really, really close, and I have to be turning, the light has to be reflecting just at the right time for me to see that color, so it's not too bad. So anyways, okay, let's go ahead and jump into the video portion of this. So now I'm just taking some rubbing alcohol and just really cleaning up the area really well. You can see where I did it before. And I've already washed my face really, really well and just really cleaned everything. And I've got this little cup that I sterilized, and it's got alcohol and witch hazel in it, and I just clean myself up every time because I will bleed. And so that's what I use. So, and I've also sterilized my little mirror because I'm going to be holding it, and I'm going to be, I just want to sterilize everything. That is the most important part. So I'm going to go ahead and dip my pen in my ink, and then I'm going to get started. Look at that. Not quite. I don't even know if I broke the skin yet. Yeah, I did. A little bit. Okay, so this is what I have done so far. But as you can see, it's really red along the edges. And I actually had to switch tools because for whatever reason, the other one just stopped working on me. So it's a good thing I had some backups. Okay, so I'm going to clean it up. And I'm still going to do it a little bit more because I'm not quite done. I want it to come down just a little bit further. It is on fire. I don't use any numbing, cream or anything. So it really burns. It really hurts at first, and then you get used to it. So I'm just dipping into the ink there. This makes me so nervous doing it on camera. Never done that before. Okay. I want to mention that the color that it looks right after you're done is like 10 times darker than what it turns out to be, especially like the following day. It's like jet black. But once it scabs and once it peels off and stuff like that, it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like this. It ends up looking so light brown. Okay, so this is what it looks like immediately after. I just finished and I just cleaned them up really, really well one more time. That's it. This is what they look like right now. They look a little bit freakishly black, but I know that in the end it's not going to look like this. I know that it's going to eventually look just like I put some eyebrow powder underneath or on my, eyebrows. And because I've done this before several times and I know it always looks this black at first and then it looks like a more natural color later. So okay guys, so this is Wednesday and I did this on Sunday afternoon and this is what it looks like right now. I think you can kind of see it looks really, I know it looks super thin, but it's because you can't see what I did prior that's above because the color is so dark that it just looks like and I only touched that from underneath. Anyways, the scab is starting to break up and so hopefully it'll be falling off later on tonight, so I will keep you posted. Okay, so it's still Wednesday, and I couldn't leave it alone because it just looks so intense, and because of the intensity and that I only touched up underneath, it makes my eyebrows look super thin. But anyways, so I have this little ramekin, and I really sterilized it, and then I put some purified water in it, and I've got a little Q-tip, and I am just moistening. You can see that the scab is starting to fall off. I'm just really moistening everything, see that? And the scab is just really kind of sliding off. And you're really not supposed to mess with it. You're just kind of supposed to let it come off in the shower. I got a lot of it off on this side. But the pigment is still very much there and it still looks pretty intense, but it's gonna look like that. Once the scab falls off, the skin has to grow over it and then it really softens up the color quite a bit. Anyways, like I said, you're not supposed to mess with it, but I am, so do what I say and not as I do. One of those things. I have a tattoo gun here at home, so if I mess up, I don't have to go anywhere and, tell them I messed up and can they please touch it up. So, but it's probably not good for scarring reasons and stuff like that, which is why I'm being super gentle and I'm not just like pulling off a hard scab, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing today. Okay, so here we are. It is Thursday and I did this on Sunday. A lot of the scabbing fell off yesterday, but I still have some sections that still need to fall off. You can usually tell because they're quite a bit darker right in here, and then there's a part underneath, and that's probably going to happen in the next 1 or 2 days, and then there's still going to be a lot of flaking and shedding, and then the skin still needs to grow over, so it's still going to lighten quite a bit, but this is where we are right now. Okay, so I'm in the car right now, and I wanted you guys to see the color of the tattoo in just natural sunlight. Now, I don't have anything on my eyebrows, so, and typically I would still put something on my eyebrows, even though I've tattooed them. So I want you to see what the color looks like. As you can see, there's the tattoo. You can see where the tattoo kind of stops and then my hair starts. And my natural hair is very dark. So that's why I went with a dark color, because a long time ago I went with just a regular brown and it had some reddish tones and I wasn't crazy about that. So now I feel like there are a little bit, sometimes when you go really dark, sometimes the color can change a little bit and it can end up being kind of like a grayish, and I feel like I see little hints of gray, but from this distance I don't at all. And so like I said, I would still put some eyebrow color on there, but this is just what they look like in natural sunlight. So that's it. Okay, so that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. For those of you who requested it, you're welcome. I'm just kidding. So anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you next time.